So welcome, and thank you for taking the time to join us today for our virtual parent forum. Let's talk sharing resources to discuss race, racism, inequality, and other related topics with children. We would like to ask that you stay muted for this time while you're speaking to reduce any background noise. This event is being recorded, and we will share with those who are unable to join us and as a reference for you. I am Dr. Saskia Brown, Supervisor of Pupil Personnel Services and the District Anti-Bullying Coordinator. Today I am joined with my colleagues, Mr. Scott Kircher, Supervisor of K-12 Social Studies, World Language, and ESL, who was the lead in coordinating this event, and Dr. Jane Esposito, School Psychologist and Coordinator of the Alpine Wellness Center program at Sparta High School. Our school district unites against all acts of racism, inequality, injustice, discrimination, and violence of any kind that do not reflect the values of inclusion, compassion, and freedoms for all. This forum is designed to share information and is not to share personal or political beliefs, but instead to create a platform to create unity about our unique perspectives as we combine and unite in common values over humanity to ensure a school community that is welcoming for all. This forum is also not designed to address specific needs, but rather to serve as an introduction to what we hope is a series of ongoing conversations in our school district. If you have any specific questions to address the needs of your family, please feel free to reach out to any of today's moderators after the event. We will have 45 minutes for this session. 20 will be presenting information, 20 for sharing information, and 5 for closing remarks. If you would like to contribute, we ask that you make that request in the chat by placing your name. We wish we were in person for this event, but since that is not possible, we would like to maintain the value of speaking for engagement. So please use the chat to request to speak instead of communicating in the chat. We will monitor the chat for submissions of your name and call your name in the order it was received and ask you to unmute yourself and speak. Please be mindful that this is designed for you to share information and to learn. So be respectful in your delivery and concise as possible in your contributions by limiting those to 3 minutes. We might not be able to get to everyone in this time frame. Should you wish to continue this engagement after, please feel free to email any of today's moderators. The objectives for this forum are to provide a platform to listen and learn, to gain insight for assessing the needs of our school community, and to provide families with resources and tools to engage in meaningful conversations with children. At this time, I will turn the event over to Dr. Esposito, who will discuss the framework for this conversation based on a developmental perspective.
So, hi everyone, good afternoon, welcome. So, it's time. It's time for us to have these, what could be perceived as some maybe perhaps difficult conversations with our children, but they are necessary conversations. But what do we say? What do we say to our children? There isn't necessarily a wrong or right way to engage in discussions with our children, but we do want to start with a developmental perspective. We should always let our child's age and development guide us. Conversations that we may have with our very young children are going to be very different from the ones that we have with our middle schoolers or high schoolers. With our younger children, we can engage in stories about how we're all human, but we have beautiful differences. And then we have middle school children who perhaps we can share historical perspectives and discuss things that are happening in the news. Whereas with our older kids who can exhibit more abstract reasoning, we can discuss more emotionally charged and sophisticated discussions. One of the things that I want to make sure that, we all as adults keep in mind is that, we're still in the midst of COVID-19. We're all have been feeling the angst of anxiety and fear and confusion. We've gone from a nation who's become, exemplified exceptional solidarity to one that has been gripped with fear. For our little ones, I would refrain from watching the unrest and violence. Not a good idea to have them, watching all of that. They're not capable, of understanding those. But for our older guys, they have social media. They are going to be witnessing things. It's a great opportunity to open up those conversations and see what they're thinking and what they're feeling. That's a parental tip. I would say, and this comes in the words of my colleague, Dr. Costa, psychiatrist in town. We have to pretend that we're on the airplane and that oxygen mask needs to go on us first. We have to take care of ourselves as adults first. If we're feeling emotionally charged, if we feel anger, if we're upset, we have to check on what we can handle. So if you're not ready to have those conversations, it's a good idea to reach out for help if necessary. But just keeping in mind that the people at any age, encourage curiosity. We want to foster the communication. And I think at the end of the day, if our goal amongst everyone to focus on empathy and kindness among all people, I think those conversations are going to happen a lot easier.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Scott Kircher. I'm the Socialized World Language and ESL supervisor, and I'm provided some resources for families and for educators. And you'll have access to this PowerPoint and these links and these resources through the district website in the short future. I want to tell you a little bit about the how we gathered the resources that we curated. It really came out of a combined effort of socialized supervisors from throughout the state. I'm a member of a cohort of South Jersey, Central, and North Jersey supervisors, and we have curated about 15 pages of resources. It can become a little bit overwhelming. So what we did was I scrolled through them, screened them, and created a resource for our community that really highlights some really poignant and pointed activities and resources. You'll find them once you have access that are going to be organized in two different categories. One says for families and one for educators. The goal is that when we look at it, we will have all the resources on one page so that we can see what the families can see, what the schools are, what the teachers have access to, and the teachers can see what the families have access to. For the resources for your students in K2, and I have that identified as well, we have a variety of resources from books you can read. One book in particular, some information about how the students are developing through and what is good strategies per grade level and development level, as well as some other print and audio resources. There's a nice YouTube or blog there as well, and podcast. For educators, we've shared that with educators as well, so that everyone will be able to sort of share this message and help students communicate through. Ultimately, all these resources, we strive to create a impartial civic space for the exchange of ideas. And so that's one thing that went into some of these resources as well. However, if you feel as though there's additional resources that you want, I can direct you by emailing me. I can direct you to some additional resources that might be better for your family or your home front. Thank you.
So I'm sorry, I had to keep cutting back in and out. I had to mute myself so that you guys would not have any feedback. So we just wanted to quickly share a few of the next steps. We will continue to use our District Culture and Climate Committee, Sparta C3, to assess the needs of our school community and to really engage in collaboration with our student advocacy groups like We Are the Dream at Sparta High School and action planning for sustained change. Scott?
The Sparta Diversity Council has been created last year and will be working this year as well to provide some policy development, some coordination among the 5 schools, and some programming. The Sparta Diversity Council will also have 2 student groups that will be coming out of that looks at leadership and some programming there as well. So that's going to be something we can also look forward to, along with parental participation in those councils.
Jane?
Yeah, and the Sparta High School Alpine Wellness Center, that was also opened this school year, but we were still up and running. We offer social emotional learning, mental health, trauma-informed and restorative practices, and just feel free to reach out align@sparta.org if you need any assistance with having those conversations. We're there to help you. We also are going to be offering ongoing professional learning opportunities through the school district, and that will be based in competencies and skills.
Department supervisor, I'm looking constantly at the curriculum review and resource mapping, and all of our resources are aligned with the mandates from the state of New Jersey, Amistad, Holocaust, and the new LGBT disability mandate, as well as looking at balanced resources to engage in the civic space.
And we will continue to provide platforms for all stakeholders to really engage in these meaningful conversations where we can share and learn and grow together as a school district community.
So some of the questions that you may have, we want to hear from you. What are the barriers that may prevent you from having meaningful conversations about race and related topics at home? And how can we support you? How can our school district support you and your families in this type of engagement? Again, we're here to assist you and to help. So please, reach out and we'd love to hear from you.
So we're going to go to the guided questions.
Okay. So yeah, again, if anyone is interested in posting any questions, talking about, any of the barriers that may be preventing you from having those meaningful conversations about race and related topics at home, and how can we support you in doing so?
So feel free to email either Dr. Esposito, myself, or Dr. Brown in any of these guiding questions or any of these questions that you may have, and we'll help you work on strategies to have these meaningful conversations.
Do we currently have any individuals in the chat that would like to make any comments?
Currently, we do not have anyone in the chat.
Thank you. So as a district, we are really committed to engaging in not just this moment, but using this moment to gain momentum for really sustaining change that ensures that we create a safe and supportive learning community that provides equity and access for all students to be welcome, to be celebrated, regardless of their race, their ethnicity, their culture, their socioeconomic status, their gender, identity, sexuality, ability, or beliefs. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Presentation for the kids that are pre-K to 2. Dr. Esposito spoke about what we can do, or what parents should be showing and shouldn't be showing kids of our age. So we have that. And then the high school, we were talking about high school has clubs, they have organizations that kids can be a part of, and they can get information and a lot of the curriculum that you have at the high school. But really, what do we do at our level, the youngest kids level? That's our concern. We can still show them all of our love and our support and tell them the right and the wrong, and the parents are doing that. But a lot of it is coming through the curriculum that we're doing at our level and our classroom teachers. So is there anything else we can be doing? Because we don't really have those outside things, the clubs and the organizations. And that's why parents are huge, I think, in this. But we as teachers need to be saying, or educators need to be saying the positive things to the kids and not give our opinion and not give what we think and how, but kind of bringing that in. I didn't know if there was something that you can help us out with at our level.
You know what, Pete, great question. So, some of the things that, of course, having the restrictions of, COVID right now, and, not really being able to go out and engage in some of the things that might be offered within the community. But certainly those resources that we've listed, those resources are open to all ages. Even the Alliance Wellness Center, this forum is about, helping parents have those conversations with their children. And again, developmentally appropriate. So for the younger kids, I definitely would encourage, picking up one of those books that Scott has listed, Mr. Kircher on his list, reaching out to the teachers, taking those quiet moments to, have those bedtime discussions, and seeing what those those beautiful little thoughts in their heads, just ensuring that we are not creating more angst for them, but ensuring that they have a level of comfort in what it is that questions and thoughts that they may be having at this particular time. But again, those resources are open for everyone.
And Peter, there's a podcast from NYC, NPR, and the Sesame Network that really talks about like how to bring these issues up with students that are preschool, kindergarten, and really at an early age. And that's one of the things that's linked there, and it really is a straightforward Sesame Street production of how to talk about these issues.
I'll just add to that as well that we are also hosting a forum for our staff, right, where we're going to kind of talk a little bit more with them about having these conversations. So this forum is for our parents, but we are hosting a follow-up forum with our staff so that we can give them some more specifics about how to have these conversations in their classroom. So thank you so much for that question.
Perfect. Thank you.